While many are getting into the Christmas spirit, some not so much. A hungry Grinch caught on camera smashing the front window of a much-loved Newcastle pizzeria at around 5:30 this morning. The window has since been replaced, but the owners are now searching for the culprit.
One of my employees, he was walking down the road and he saw him.
Right.
And he said, he jumped on an Uber.
Police are now investigating the incident and have urged anyone with information to contact them. The cost of living crisis is weighing heavily on Australian families this festive season, and charities are reminding the community that help is out there. Today, hundreds came together in Singleton for the annual Samaritans Christmas Eve lunch.
Table decor set, plates filled with a feast and presents stacked. Festive colours filled the room at All Saints Anglican Parish Hall in Singleton.
This is a nice thing for people to come along and enjoy the festivities, and as you can hear, they are having fun.
The annual Samaritans Christmas Eve lunch needed more now than ever before. This year, many Aussie families are feeling the pinch, and new data from Unions New South Wales reveals 4 in 10 people will cut back on Christmas lunch due to the rising cost of living.
This town has had a lot of tragedy this year, and so just being together and having the spirit of Christmas is really special.
That Christmas cheer certainly felt today. Chairs filled as the community came together, and a special visit from Santa to help spread that spirit, handing out gifts to all the children, men and women.
All sorts, they're all wrapped up secretly, so we don't know what they're getting, but everybody gets something.
A full circle moment for the organisation this year, with the event returning to where it all began 2 decades ago. Its dedication to helping those who need it most, thanks to a compassionate group of volunteers.
In a total about 20 volunteers, so we've got parish volunteers. People have come from Denman, Aberdeen, Greta.
Volunteers are also preparing for the region's biggest Christmas lunch on the Newcastle foreshore. The organisation will feed around 1,300 people across both events. And though Santa has a busy night ahead, he says there's one more important thing than the presents wrapped under the tree.
Christmas message is peace on earth and goodwill to all people.
Bianca Wert, NBN News.
He might be busy flying through the skies on his sleigh tonight, but earlier today, Santa made a special visit to kids in the Bay, only by boat, spreading not only Christmas cheer, but an important safety message for those on our waterways too.
You know it's Christmas when Santa Claus is in the Bay. Accompanied not by his reindeers or sleigh, but guarded by the men and women in blue.
It's great to see kids just get involved and see the police are friendly and we're there to help them.
And the kids just as eager, dashing down to the water's edge to greet the man in the red suit. Why is it special?
Because I get to see Santa. He's brought us lollipops.
The annual Port Stephens Water Police Santa Run, not only spreading Christmas cheer, but an important safety message for those hitting the water over the holidays.
If you're going out on your boat, ensure you've got your safety equipment, know where it is and how to use it. Don't drink and drive, and if you're on a boat, have a life jacket available, and if it's a small vessel or you're a young child under 12 years old, ensure that life jacket's worn.
48 people drowned off the New South Wales coast last year. 26% of those were boating related, most of them not wearing a life jacket.
I've been involved in many searches and people go missing for a long time. It'll keep you afloat and it'll keep you alive until help gets there.
And if you want to make sure you stay on the nice list,
life jackets save lives, so suggest you wear your life jacket when on the water.
Montana Claire,
Merry Christmas!
NBN News.
Taking a look at the weather, storms flaring up across the Hunter today, a top of 25 degrees in Maitland, 24 degrees in Cessnock and 24 in Singleton.
Police are searching for two thieves they believe are responsible for locking a woman in a storeroom before robbing a grocery shop in the Lake Macquarie suburb of Cahaiba. Officers were called to the Friendly Grocer on Glebe Street at about 6:30 yesterday morning. The 48-year-old female worker told them two unknown men ransacked the shop, stole cigarettes, then took off on scooters. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Police on the Central Coast say they've reached the point of frustration with driver behaviour. Alcohol and speeding offences continue to be the major culprits, prompting a heavy police presence out on local roads this weekend.
It's the statewide Christmas and New Year road safety operation that is targeting all the Ds: drinking, drugs, dangerous and distracted driving.
And that's a focus on excessive speed, mobile phones and seatbelt and motorcycle helmet offences.
The standard double demerits are now in place until midnight Monday, with police working tirelessly to curb the gut-wrenching road toll.
Locally on the Central Coast, 12 people have lost their lives in 2023, and that is an increase on what we experienced last year.
While visitors to the region continue to claim comfort on the coast, it would serve locals to know it's not always the tourists taking roadside risks.
We may be under the misnomer that it's those visitors that are causing the issues on the Central Coast, but unfortunately it's locals on local roads.
Drink driving remains the major contributor to accidents and fatalities, with police saying complacency and a lack of accountability the major driver for roadside tragedies.
There's certainly a level of frustration with policing in general, but traffic policing. We really want the community to take some ownership with their driver behaviour.
Sarah Elmaselli, NBN News.
The Hunter's unemployment rate is faring better than the state average, according to new government data. In November, the monthly rate jumped from 1.8% to 3.6% for Newcastle and Lake Macquarie, while in the Valley it fell from 4 to 3.2%. Both averages still lower than the statewide figure of 3.3. Business Hunter says that while staff shortages are still having an impact, recruitment drives tend to back off at this time of year. Wild weather is on the way for New South Wales, with supercell storms to lash parts of the state from tomorrow. The Bureau of Meteorology is warning of hail and strong winds, with up to 100 millimetres of rain forecast.
This could create highly hazardous conditions over the Christmas period, and we want everyone to be aware and, importantly, be prepared.
Wet and windy conditions are expected in the Illawarra, South Coast, Northern Rivers, Mid-North Coast and in Sydney. 2 of the 5 Rotary clubs selling Christmas trees on the Central Coast say they are thrilled with this year's sales following the shortage in supply from the recent Victorian floods. Carryong Summersby and the Entrance Rotary Club sold more than 18,500 pine trees this year. The local charity organisations raised more than $55,000 from the sales, with the money going towards the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren Fund. There are several wonderful joys that light up the hearts of many at this time of year. And for some, it's the tradition of Christmas lights that brings the most joyous cheer.
The Central Coast has long been known for its sparkling beaches and geographical features. But this year, it's the Christmas lights getting a good rap and really putting the region on the map. For so many, it's an annual family tradition. Putting up the lights, their seasonal mission. Just like Kelly and Jade and so many before. Locals lighting up their homes for all to adore.
It's great that the family can go for a walk and enjoy the festivities with the kids, and everyone else's family can do the same thing.
From mismatched motorcycles and dinosaurs to the all-time honoured Mr. Claus, this year brought with it some economical fragility, along with the growing trend in sustainability.
It is expensive. Most of ours are solar though, so we've got a couple of little hidden panels spread around the place and they work perfectly.
But the perennial question does stand. When exactly is it on brand to be putting up one sparkling splendour on or before the 1st of December?
I set them up 2 days before and we turn them on the 1st. And they'll be down before January.
Sarah Elmaselli, NBN News.
Looking at the weather for the Central Coast, a stunning Saturday before some unsettled conditions arrive tomorrow afternoon. 25 degrees atop the Goldsmith, 26 at Mangrove Mountain, 13 to 25 the range at Coorongong.
Firefighters are still working to bring the Duck Creek Pilliga Forest fire under control. The bushfire has burnt through nearly 130,000 hectares of land southwest of Narrabri. Rainfall across the region over the last week has been a Christmas miracle for firefighters, giving them enough reprieve to complete their annual Santa run. The fire is currently listed at advice level, with residents encouraged to stay up to date if weather conditions change. Tamworth residents whose bins are collected on a Monday won't miss out on Christmas Day. Council says collection services will operate tomorrow, though they'll start earlier than normal. Locals are reminded to put their bins out tonight if they'd like them collected. The Forest Road landfill will be closed tomorrow, but will reopen with normal operating hours from Boxing Day. Northwest residents are reminded not to treat their furry friends to a slice of Christmas lunch. Vets say ham has a high fat content and can cause pancreatitis in animals.
And absolutely avoid ham bones and other cooked bones. They can splinter and they can also block the gut and end up with an animal that's quite unwell and needs surgery.
Chocolate, coffee, grapes, sultanas and macadamia nuts are also on the no list for pets. Santa certainly won't miss the Northwest this year, with some impressive Christmas light displays sure to guide him into town. From traditional fairy lights to blow-up characters and even an appearance from the Grinch, the city's festive spirit is on full display.
It's known as the City of Light, and in the month of December, Tamworth has certainly lived up to its name. Christmas lights are dazzling the city's streets, with locals relishing the festive fun.
It's really a nice feeling to make those people happy. Sometimes, they just shout out, say, hey, Merry Christmas and all that stuff. It makes you feel good.
Each house has its own unique flair for decorations, but there was one clear must-have.
Blow up stuff like Christmas decorations, like Christmas baubles.
Some displays take months of preparation, but residents say it's worth it.
Our grandkids went looking last night and went all around town. It's lovely.
The lights aren't the only treats for local kids.
We have some candy cane flavoured lollipops and normal candy canes.
Tamworth's displays are even enough to warm the coldest of hearts.
I like seeing the kids be happy to see the Grinch and Rudolph. There was one that thought they were dreaming and pinched themselves.
No matter the weather, Tamworth was out in full force tonight to see the city's best light displays, including this one at 12 Sequoia Drive in Moore Creek. They've synced their display to more than 30 Christmas and non-Christmas songs, with locals able to vote for what they want to listen to. And as for how long it's socially acceptable to leave your lights up for.
I usually let it stay until January because my wife's birthday is on January.
Gabriella Warner, NBN News.
Churches across the region are preparing to welcome thousands to their Christmas Eve and Christmas Day services. St Nicholas's Catholic Church in Tamworth attracted nearly 100 people to Sunday Mass this morning. It's expected roughly 300 more at celebrations tonight and tomorrow morning.
The reason for this excitement is Christ is coming to our midst, into our hearts, and the birth of Christ, and Christ is the center of our life.
According to the 2021 census, roughly 2/3 of Tamworth residents hold religious beliefs, with the most populous groups being Anglicans and Catholics. While many are getting into the Christmas spirit, some not so much. A Grinch caught on camera smashing the front window of a much-loved Newcastle pizzeria at around 5:30 this morning. The window has since been replaced, but the owners are now searching for the culprit.
One of my employees, he was walking down the road and he saw him.
Right.
And he said, he jumped on an Uber.
Police are now investigating. Taking a look at the weather across the northwest today, it was certainly a mixed bag across the region, topping out at 35 degrees at Moree, 27 the top at Glen Innes and 30 degrees in Tamworth. While many are getting into the Christmas spirit, some not so much. A Grinch caught on camera smashing the front window of a much-loved Newcastle pizzeria at around 5:30 this morning. The owners are now searching for the culprit.
One of my employees, he was walking down the road and he saw him.
Right.
And he said, he jumped on an Uber.
Police are investigating. An environmental memo this Christmas with high visitor numbers leading to an increase in rubbish. Bellingen Shire Council has launched a new campaign showing how we all play a role in protecting our waterways.
The secret is well and truly out, with places like the Promised Land exploding in popularity. Bellingen Shire Council urging visitors to explore responsibly over the summer holidays.
Getting people prepared so that when they do choose to visit, some of our beautiful places, be that some of our, long beaches or the beautiful water holes of our creeks and our rivers, that they're prepared when they get there.
Council rolling out a campaign this week listing 5 ways to keep the region pristine and protected.
The campaign is based around go before you go, so we're encouraging people firstly to make sure that they use the public amenities within our townships before you go and visit these places.
Taking rubbish with you and cleaning up after yourself and your dogs.
The classic thing, just leave your footprints, take your photographs and that's it.
Consider what goes into the waterways, especially sunscreen.
There's some mineral-based sunscreens, so look out for ones that contain zinc or titanium, and they have less of those chemical absorbers, and that's much better for the environment.
And avoid damaging riverbanks or bush when parking.
And a lot of these areas are really important from a cultural point of view for the Gumbaynggirr people. So we're asking people to think about that and to tread lightly on this beautiful part of the world.
Alison Paul, NBN News.
Entries for the 2024 Jacaranda Acquisitive Drawing Award are now open at Grafton Regional Gallery. The Jada is Australia's richest regional drawing award with a first prize of $35,000. Entries close on June 30. As the cost of living crisis continues to weigh on Australian families, today Samaritans helped boost the spirits of hundreds at a Christmas Eve lunch in the Upper Hunter. Table decor set, plates filled with a feast and presents stacked. Festive colours filled the room at All Saints Anglican Parish Hall in Singleton.
This is a nice thing for people to come along and enjoy the festivities, and as you can hear, they are having fun.
The annual Samaritans Christmas Eve lunch needed more now than ever before. This year, many Aussie families are feeling the pinch, and new data from Unions New South Wales reveals 4 in 10 people will cut back on Christmas lunch due to the rising cost of living.
This town has had a lot of tragedy this year, and so just being together and having the spirit of Christmas is, it's really special.
That Christmas cheer certainly felt today. Chairs filled as the community came together, and a special visit from Santa to help spread that spirit, handing out gifts to all the children, men and women.
All sorts, they're all wrapped up secretly, so we don't know what they're getting, but everybody gets something.
A full circle moment for the organisation this year, with the event returning to where it all began 2 decades ago. Its dedication to helping those who need it most, thanks to a compassionate group of volunteers.
In a total about 20 volunteers, so we've got parish volunteers. People have come from Denman, Aberdeen, Greta.
Volunteers are also preparing for the region's biggest Christmas lunch on the Newcastle foreshore. The organisation will feed around 1,300 people across both events. And though Santa has a busy night ahead, he says there's one more important thing than the presents wrapped under the tree.
Christmas message is peace on earth and goodwill to all people.
Bianca Wert, NBN News.
Taking a look at the weather across the mid-north coast today, 28 degrees the top in Grafton, 26 at Kempe.
The Northern Rivers is in for a wet Christmas with heavy rainfall, strong winds and possible hail forecast over the next 3 days.
If you come across flooded roads, please turn around and find alternative routes. You just don't know what's underneath those flooded waters. The road could be damaged and there could be debris floating underneath.
Up to 100 millimetres of rain is expected to fall between Sunday and Tuesday. Armidale-based company Outcross Agri Services has been awarded a 5-year contract to operate the Casino Livestock Exchange. It follows a standoff between Casino Auctioneers Association and Council over a new licensing agreement.
In September, Council resolved to put the facility out to lease for tender. That's now been let, and we welcome Outcross Agri Services to the fold.
Outcross Agri Services is the largest sale yard operator in the country. The varroa mite outbreak decimated many businesses last year, but when a bushfire knocked out Glenn Locke's hives 2 months ago, he was forced to start over again. But now the Arara Valley beekeeper is just months away from harvesting honey from his new brood of bees.
A steady buzz, signalling things are slowly improving for Glenn Locke, the veteran beekeeper forced to build up his business one hive at a time, not once but twice in a matter of 12 months.
I feel okay. It's been a big setback. So, it's just something you got to do.
Glenn's business was crippled when he lost his entire brood of 75 hives as a result of the varroa mite outbreak in Glenray last year.
This site here, we're about 100 metres inside the red zone, but all of my 4 sites were within the red zone in Nana Glen.
Set up and back on his feet, he was dealt another severe blow in October.
I'm in the Rural Fire Service. We were up on the Glens Creek Road fire on the Sunday when it started. I went through the property there and I lost all of my hives there as well. So, back to nothing again.
Mr Locke said overwhelming support spurred him on to rebuild for the 3rd time.
I started knocking back help and I had a few people have a chat to me and say, mate, you got to accept help. And, it sort of snowballed from there.
A community fundraiser saw over $15,000 raised for Mr Locke in a matter of days, and fellow beekeepers donated bees and queens. 50 hives later and he is working his bees every few days with plans to split them across multiple locations when they're more established.
I hope in a couple of months I'll start pulling honey off these bees. The good ones are doing really well, so we're in a good nectar flow here with ironbark and various other things going, so I'm optimistic.
And he admits it's a different landscape. Managing varroa mite now a necessity.
There's more interventions, so more inspections and more costs to treat, so it's a time and money issue. It's the only move. There was no way we could stop the spread of varroa in Australia.
Britt Ramsey, NBN News.
Spirits are high this festive season, but the Catholic Church is reminding us not to forget the true meaning of Christmas. Across the Manning, priests have been handing out hampers and working to ensure that those in need are supported.
This Christmas time, we're praying for you all. We're praying particularly for people who are in hospitals, in aged care facilities. We're thinking of those in correctional centres. We are mindful of you. We're lovingly praying for you.
Christmas and New Year Mass times can be found on the parish website. When the 2022 floods left Trinity Catholic College in ruins, few could have anticipated the remarkable journey that awaited. Relocated to Southern Cross University, the school not only rebuilt its physical presence, but defied the odds in the academic arena.
Take a walk through Trinity's classroom corridors and you'll find a positive change in the air.
It was really easy to be motivated to study because you have all these people helping you out.
The facility spent the majority of their senior years bouncing around different campuses after their school was wiped out in the 2022 floods.
I think as a whole school, we just kind of stuck to our guns and did the best we could.
21 months on, the college's academic glory is shining bright. 18 students finishing in the top 10% of the state, with ATARs higher than 90.
To get a result such as that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort behind the scenes, and they did exceptionally well.
42 students made the 2023 Distinguished Achievers List for high results in their HSC exams.
Hannah Cap was our Dux for 2023 with an ATAR of 99.90. Hannah was the standout performer throughout her entire high school journey.
Students are now scattering across the map, bound for different universities and adventures.
I will be going to uni in Newcastle next year, so for occupational therapy.
I hope to do engineering next year and at UNSW in Sydney.
Others ready to take a well-deserved break.
I'm going to take a gap year, so I'm going to try and just get a job and work for a year and hang out.
Andrew Dew, NBN News.
Looking at today's weather, a top of 26 in Coffs, 29 at Lismore and 28 at Byron.